And I'm Kerri.
And we are Paranormal Chicks.
Episode 42. And we have had the plague.
For real.
Donna still has the plague. Pause for Donna to die.
Right.
So, yeah, I had the stomach plague. And then I got just like a really bad cold that kicked my ass. And Donna got legit the flu.
I know.
This bitch has never had the flu in her life.
No, I haven't.
So she had no idea what to expect.
I do now know. What?
She do now know. She also still has flu brain.
Yes, that is a thing.
So this episode's going to be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to not talk a whole lot.
I know that everyone's like,
Skirt.
I can't even gasp in because let's not.
So what we're going to do then is Donna's going to try to be quiet, which is me for the last 3 days. Donna, quit calling me, quit talking, save your voice. And she's like, well, I'll just talk to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Donna, quit talking, save your voice. So this episode is going to be just me doing a story for all you folks out there.
Yeah. And me.
Because my plague is 95% gone.
Yep.
Since a little bit of fever I had this morning.
I know. I was talking about me having a fever, and then she had a fever. I was like, oh, Lord.
Look, we're like Oprah. You get a fever, and you get a fever, and you get a fever. And because I know that we are not the only ones that have been down and out with the plague this week, I'm looking at you, all of you in the Creepinati that have told us that you're sick too. I can think of 3 or 4 of y'all offhand that are sick.
Right.
So in honor of that, my story today...
Wait, don't tell him.
Oh, God.
I have something to say.
Imagine that.
She was planning all of this out, and she was like, I'm going to do most of the talking. And I was like, but I have something to say.
Which she just literally said. She said it twice because she has to talk.
Stop. I mean, it's true.
She legit sounds like a 97-year-old smoker that has smoked Virginia Slims 120s her whole fucking life.
I mean, that's what it feels like, too. Okay. So, which this is way improved.
Way better.
Like,
you really do sound a lot better. I mean, you still sound like shit, but you sound a lot better.
Like the other day, Kerri said, why do you sound so bad? Because it, like, regress, though.
I'm such a good friend. Like, you send us me and stuff, you look terrible.
I mean, I did. I
still do too. I know. I only had to go to work 4 days this week because of the New Year's Day, and legit only wore makeup to work 2 of those days. And I was having that Celestone flush from the Celestone shot I got. Yeah. My face was so red, it looked like I had just gotten out of a tanning bed and that I had stayed in too long. It was awful. I looked like complete and utter shit all week and felt too bad to give 2 fucks.
You gave a fuck.
Not even.
Oh, God. Okay. Even though I'm sick, because I'm sick, and I only worked 1 day this past week.
Which was yesterday.
Yeah, Friday, which was so confusing. Like, it did not register in my brain that it was Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So confusing. I don't know how retirement people do it because, whoa. But I watched a shit ton of Netflix. And as I have said before, that I would never, like, join a cult or anything like that. And everyone's like, yeah, I mean, you mostly, like, don't ever say never. And I'm like, no, I would. Because tidying up, I've heard of the KonMari method, and I have definitely made fun of that. Like, does it bring you joy? You know, like, but I'm a believer now because I found her on Netflix. It's a new thing called Tidying Up. And one, I love her. She is so freaking cute, so nice, and just so, like, just precious, and seems so genuine, even though Kerri doesn't think she is. But I really like her, and, like, everything the show, it really does change it. And like, I'm sitting here and I think it's like 8 episodes or something. Every episode I learned something different, and just like, I would look around, and right now my house is utterly crazy because one, I have my like flu compound station, whatever, command central, yeah. And then moving and all of that, just whatever. But I'm like, good God, I can do this. I need to do this, whatever. But then Kerri, again, I tried to get Kerri on this thing, and I just told Kerri, we are doing this, because we're codependent and I have to make her do it too. But, and then I'm in the cult and I'm trying to get you to join a cult.
Precisely.
But then I went down a whole YouTube thing and I watched how to fold the shirts. I was like, okay, I get you, Marie Kondo, but what about a plus size shirt?
Swear to God, I watched the first episode. I watched most of it.
I was going to say, I know you didn't finish it.
I did fast forward through some of it. I don't care about people's personal stories. Like I don't care about the fluff. But I was watching her fold that, and I was like, yeah, that's all fucking wonderful when her shirt is the size of my fucking underwear.
Right.
I mean.
She's teeny tiny.
Yes.
But, yes. I mean, you can watch all kinds of stuff. I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant, though. I'm looking at you, too, about a lot of this. But, like, for reals, I have drawers that I have to push down of shit that more than half of that could probably be tossed. Not even donated, tossed.
But I think for me, though, the clothes, like, I know that I keep clothes.
Yes, you do.
Way longer than I should, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And I have sizes, 2 sizes up and 3 sizes, 7 sizes down.
I was going to say, a little bit more, but okay.
But you never know. Well, now I have a pool. What if somebody comes over and they fall in and they don't have any clothes? And then they're like, God, I really needed that schmedium shirt. And I'm like, have no fear. I'm a hoarder when it comes to clothes.
No, then you say, here, wear my thing and we'll put a belt around it and you can have a fucking dress in. If they're a schmedium, I'm just saying, your shirt would be a dress.
Well, no, like for me, that giving up the clothes thing, which I do sometimes, I'll purge.
She doesn't do the full purge, just puh.
I do purge, but I don't fucking want to, Miriam, or whatever the fuck her name is. Marie. I'm sorry, I've been watching Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Also, cult member that made you watch it.
I think too it comes from, like, for me, my life is finally sort of kind of stable at the moment. Like, I finally bought a house. I finally am like, no more school, no more whatever. Because even though I'd been in my career for a little while, I was always going back to school. What never settled.
Back to school.
Thank you, Billy Madison.
To school.
So I think for me, I want the shit because it's like, I got to fill up this house now that I finally have. You know what I mean?
Yes, but that's exactly why you were like this.
But
why you need it. Okay. This is becoming a therapy session, and we'll take this off the books because, y'all came here for true crime and paranormal, but getting true crime.
You don't know what I'm doing. Well, she knows the story I'm doing. She just doesn't know where I'm taking it. Okay. So, like I said before she interrupted me with her spiel of the things to watch and her cult. So, in honor of everybody being freaking sick, I am going to do Typhoid Mary.
Woo!
Okay. That was so enthusiastic.
Well, when you told me this, I was like, oh my God, cool. But I only have used her name, like, when I'm like this, you know, and I'm like, okay, sorry, Typhoid Mary over here. But I have no idea of anything.
Well, Typhoid Mary wasn't always known as Typhoid Mary. Her real name is Mary Mallon. And she came over to the States in 1883 when she was 15. So picture it, as Donna would say. She's this 15-year-old girl. She's coming to the States from Ireland, and she's trying to find work. She's single. She's like, okay, I got to find some work. So she starts working in people's houses, like as a maid. And then she eventually gets to where she's working in people's kitchen, cooking for them. Did you know all that?
No, I had no idea.
You really didn't know? You don't know anything about her? Damn. Okay.
No. Consider me ignorant on this subject.
Mm-hmm.
Ignorant, heavy breather, party of one.
Okay. So what we're going to do then is we're going to flash forward just a little bit from she's here, she's gotten jobs, working for families, that kind of thing.
She's Ratatouille now.
Yes. All right. So it's the summer of 1906. There was a New York banker. His name was Charles Henry Warren. And as rich people do, they took a family vacay for the summer. Like, for the summer. Not like, oh, let's take a week vacay. Like,
damn. Wait,
Miss Maisel going to the Catskills for 2 months. Yes.
Damn.
Okay. So they rented this summer home from a guy named George Thompson and his wife. This was on Oyster Bay in Long Island. I said Long Island. Very weird. Anyway. So they rent this house, and they hire Mary Mallon to be the cook for the summer. On October 27th, one of the daughters of the Warrens got sick with typhoid fever. And right after that, Mrs. Warren and 2 of the maids got sick. Then the gardener and another one of their daughters got sick, all with typhoid fever. So total of 6 of the 11 people in the house had typhoid fever.
Fuck.
Yeah. And so at the time, they knew that typhoid was spread through water and food sources. And so the owners of the home, the Thompsons, were like, fuck, if we don't figure this out, like, we're never going to be able to rent our house again. And so they're like, okay, we're going to hire somebody to figure out, like, what's going on, because they couldn't figure out where the outbreak was coming from.
I feel like this is Oregon Trail.
Right?
Like, your oxen has died.
Your axle broke, forging the river.
Like, I really think that was how you could die in the Oregon Trail, was from typhoid fever.
No, it was
dysentery.
Dysentery.
Okay.
Which both have diarrhea, which is the plague that I had. No. Okay. So the Thompsons hired George Soper. And he was like this engineer, but he had experience with the typhoid outbreaks. And so he was like, I can figure out where this outbreak is coming from.
But he was like a snake oil salesman?
No.
Oh. Literally nothing. I'm just guessing here.
Okay. So he started to look at who worked there at the time, and just to kind of figure out, like, okay, like, put the pieces together. Like, he's a freaking worked for the CDC of how did this happen? He found out that about 3 weeks after the outbreak happened, that Mary Mallon had left working for the Warrens. So people get sick, 3 weeks later, she's out. So he started to look up Mary Mallon's employment history to see, like, well, who is this girl? So he finds out that she was born September 23rd, 1869. Like I said, came to America at the age of 15 from Ireland. And he was able to trace back her employment all the way back to 1900. So he found that from 1900 to 1907, she had 7 different jobs. And all of those jobs, over 22 people had gotten sick. And 1 young girl died from the typhoid fever not long after she came and worked for him.
Fuck. What's she making? Those mini pies from the help? Good Lord.
Dang. Ew. But it could be, but ew. So once he was like, okay, clearly there's a trail, like, it's more than just a coincidence that this girl has worked for all these places where all these people have gotten sick. We've got to figure out, like, how she's in, like, what's going on. So now we're in March of 1907. Soper found Mary Mallon working as a cook at the home of Walter Bowen. And he's like, okay, I got to get some samples from her. And so he came up to her, saw her in the kitchen of the house. He was like, look, I think that you've been making people sick, and I need some specimens of your urine, feces, and blood. So Mary was like, abso-fucking-lutely not, and gets a carving fork and starts, like, going at him. Like, she was going to stab him with a carving fork.
I mean, good for her. I mean, if some rando came up to me and said,
give me your urine, blood, and yeah.
Be like, okay, well, one, R. Kelly, I'm
Right.
older than 15 now, motherfucker.
Damn, don't sue us.
Allegedly.
So he ran and was like, you know, like he's quoted being like, he felt.
Mail him to me.
Yeah, he's like quoted saying he felt lucky that he escaped.
He just used his sample of his pants because you know he shit himself.
Definitely. He's down, but he's not out. He's like, okay, well, she tried to kill me, but I'm going to try to track her down. So he tracks her down to her house. By this time, he had gotten an assistant by the name, well, it wasn't like his assistant. He had someone assisting him. Dr. Bert Raymond Hubler brought him for support. That's a long name. So when they approached her again, Mary got pissed again and was like, cussed them out, was like, get the F. I don't know why I couldn't say it. We don't say that word around here. Like, just was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, leave me the hell alone. Whatever.
Get your no good rotten
keister off my property before I pump you full of lead or typhoid. Okay. So Mary is like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what, these motherfuckers coming up in here trying to take my shit. Literally. But they're like, we think that you're infecting all these people. And she's like, no, the fuck I'm not. I'm fine. I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. What are you talking about? Like, I'm not doing anything. By this time, Soper had taken his hypothesis of, hey, this is her, taken it to the New York City Health Department. And they were like, okay, yeah, we agree with you. We have to get samples from her. And so she's at the point now where she's like, I'm not listening to y'all because I don't believe that, like, I'm not sick. What are y'all talking about? There's no way this came from me. And so Dr. Josephine Baker, who worked for the health department, she's the one that was trying to get the samples now from Mary. So she came, they had 5 police officers with her and an ambulance. When Dr. Baker got there, though, Mary was ready for him. Dr. Baker said that Mary was on the lookout, peered out of the kitchen with a long kitchen fork in her hand, and she lunged at Dr. Baker with the fork, who stepped back, and then, like, when she's, like, trying to step back from getting poked and prodded with the kitchen fork, Mary disappeared, like, ran.
Oh, my God.
So Dr. Baker and the police searched the whole house. They eventually found footprints leading from the house to a chair next to the fence. And then, like, so Mary had, like, bloop, 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 jumped over the fence. Yeah. They spent 5 hours searching both of the properties until they found where they thought that she was hiding in this closet. When they opened the closet, she came out fucking swinging. She was a tough cookie, this one. She was, like, scrappy, fighting, swearing, doing everything she could so that they would leave her the fuck alone.
All I can picture is that part in The Hangover when he comes out of the trunk.
Yes.
You know?
Pretty much, yeah. So she was still like, abso-fucking-lutely not. You're not getting this from me. Like, I do not have typhoid fever. I've never had it. I'm not sick. Like, you're not going to blame this on me. So they got her into the ambulance and took her to the hospital. There, they took samples and found typhoid bacilli in her stool samples. So once they had found the typhoid bacteria in her stool, they sent her to this island off, because remember, this is all in New York. There's a bunch of, obviously, islands around New York, and there's this island called North Brother Island, and it's in the East River by the Bronx, and it was like a
containment.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Yeah, they ended up quarantining Mary Mallon to North Brother Island. So there was this whole thing on, was this legal? Could they quarantine her to this island when she had broken no laws? Because her argument was, again, I'm not sick. There's no way that this is from me, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, it is, because they had recently found that people are, quote, healthy carriers. And so they carry the bacteria, but they themselves are not sick. And so, because, too, Mary's big thing was, again, never been sick, and now she's on this island, quarantined, all by herself, literally with only a dog. She's in, like, solitary confinement. So she had been isolated on North Brother Island for 2 years.
Oh, my God.
Yes. So she ends up suing the health department in 1909.
Get it, girl.
I know. So while she was there, they analyzed stool samples from her once a week. And it came back mostly positive. Like 120 of the 163 samples came back positive. And so also what she did was, so that was the Department of Health testing it. So for about a year before the trial, she sent samples of her stools to a private lab where all of her samples tested negative.
What?
So she's like, look, I'm healthy. There's nothing fucking wrong with me. And hello, look at this lab, their results. This is not fair.
And then they made Castaway, and her dog was actually Wilson.
No. So she's like, look, this is unjust. This is uncivilized.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with me. You cannot treat me like this. But the thing is, though, is that no one explained to her what typhoid fever really is and how it presents and how she could be a, quote, healthy carrier.
Right.
And not be sick. So it was like nobody explained it. And I don't know if it was they really didn't explain it to her, or she was like, this is not my fault. Like,
yeah,
whatever. And it was just like a defense mechanism of not understanding.
Yeah. But so she's quarantined, but like, is she like under arrest at this point?
It's not like she's arrested because she didn't do anything.
Right. That's what I was about to get all up in. No. Business.
They just have her quarantined.
Yeah.
Literally on an island by her fucking self. But what they're saying, though, is that people who do get typhoid fever, sometimes it's just like the flu. And it's not, which is god-awful, clearly, Exhibit A across the table from me.
Right.
But it's not like the kill you kind, you know? And then you become a carrier from there. A judge ruled in favor of the health officials, and Mary was now remanded to the custody of the Board of Health of the city of New York. So she went back to the isolated cottage in North Brother Island. Well, then in February of 1910, a new health official, commissioner, person, dude, said that Mary could go free as long as she promised that she would never cook again, because they said that it's from her, her role as a cook, that's how it's spread. You go to the bathroom, you don't wash your hands, and then you cook, and then that's how it's spread. And so they're like, look, as long as you promise not to cook, you can be let go. And she's like, okay. And so she was released. Well, the problem is she had no intention of never stopping to cook.
Well, I mean, she had to work.
Yeah. And the cooking positions paid more than, I don't know if you would call it like a housemaid, but, somebody who just cleaned versus like her cooking. So I think she really did try at first. So I can't say that she had no intention, but because I don't read her mind. I wasn't around then. So Mary tried to be a laundress. She worked, like we said, all these different places. Eventually had to go back to cooking because it's what paid. So in January of 1915, this is 5 years after she was released, the Sloan Maternity Hospital in Manhattan had a typhoid fever outbreak. 25 people were ill and 2 of them died. And so they start looking into like what the hell happened, how is this happening, and then the evidence started pointing to a new cook that they hired by the name of Miss Brown.
Oh, fuck.
AKA Mary Mallon.
Well, here she did do it.
Yeah.
Then I can be like, okay, she willingly infected people. Mm-hmm. Knowing.
Yeah.
That.
Well, but see, that's what's so hard, though, is that it's like, how much of it was her ignorance to her actually being a carrier how much of it was she had to do what she had to do. But
well, don't do it to...
No, I know. And I remember the first time I heard this story being like, why in the fuck did she go back to cook it, you know?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, too, is that, you know, the first time when it's like, okay, these people got sick, someone died, like, there's no way she could have known.
Right.
But they also were like, okay, well, it comes from, you know, going to the bathroom and then not washing your hands before you cook.
Yeah.
But then they're like, but look, she, like, cooking the food, though, should kill all the bacteria. Like, how is it that whatever she cooks isn't being killed when it's being, like, cooked or whatever?
Oh, which is so gross.
Well, ended up, her specialty was peach ice cream.
Oh, fuck.
So it had fresh peaches in it. So she's like chopping up the peaches, stirring whatever it up, however you make ice cream. And it never got cooked, i.e. ice cream, duh.
Yeah.
And so it never killed the bacteria. So that's why she was getting so many people sick when it's like, why is it not being killed?
Right.
Anyway. So what ended up happening was people kind of started turning on her because they were like, she's guilty of this. Like, she knew what she was doing.
She did.
Yeah, and so she was sent back to North Brother Island.
Back to life.
Back to reality for 23 more years.
Oh, fuck.
So I tried to find, like, what was her life like on the island for those 23 years. There's not a whole lot known. The island became a bunch of different things, but we do know that they did have a tuberculosis hospital there. Like, it became like a kind of quarantine central for for tuberculosis, and we'll talk about a couple other things that ended up happening there. But she, in like 1922, was sometimes called like a hospital helper or a nurse to the people in the tuberculosis hospital. And then she also, in 1925, started helping in the hospital's lab. If I could just get her to fucking wash her hands. In 1932, she had a stroke that left her left side paralyzed. And then after she had a stroke is when she was taken from her cottage and put in the children's ward of the hospital on the island, where she stayed there until she died 6 years later on November 11th of 1938 of pneumonia.
Dang.
I know. So there are a couple of different accounts of how many infections and all were associated with her. It's crazy because she really did get a terrible reputation. Like, everybody knows Typhoid Mary. Even if you don't know who she is, like, there were, like, even if you don't know the whole story, you know she's like patient zero kind of thing.
Right.
And so, I mean, like, there was like this whole article on like the different meanings of Typhoid Mary, and like it can even mean somebody who changes jobs frequently because she did. Like, you know, stuff like that. But
all her dirty laundry's out.
Literally. And so the thing is, though, is that she wasn't, like, there were anywhere from 3,000 to 4,500 cases of typhoid fever in New York City. Of that, though, there were like 100 new carriers every year. Some things said that there were 47 illnesses and 3 deaths attributed to her. Other things I found said 51 infections, but always 3 deaths because of her not washing her fucking hands when she made ice cream. But there was another guy named Tony Labella. He was actually caused 122 people to become ill and 5 deaths. And he was only isolated for 2 weeks before he was released. Yep. And so it's like, why is she isolated for her whole fucking life when this schmuck gets fucking 2 weeks?
Well, like, what did he do?
He was a cook too!
Oh, okay. Now, see, that makes a difference.
Yes. Okay. It's one thing, like, yes, is she shitty in that she went back to work?
Literally shitty.
Yes. Yes. She should not have gone back, and the isolation in the last 23 years or whatever, however long she was there, at the end, I don't care. Because, I mean, it would basically, I mean, she's responsible for somebody's death from her negligence. So, yes, that's essentially like prison for her, and she got to like do other things. So,
But the stuff before,
her being locked up, quote, for 2 years on the island, and he got 2 fucking weeks. And so, a lot of stuff I was reading was saying that it has to do with the fact that he was an Italian immigrant and she was Irish. And so, just like the bigotry, basically, that was still in place at the time from immigrants of Irish descent, and that he was married and had kids to support, and she was a single woman with no kids, and so let him off scot-free. He gets 2 weeks, but he did, I will say, check in like he was supposed to and give regular stool samples with the Department of Health and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Although there was another guy named Alfonso Catilles, and he owned a restaurant and a bakery, and he was a healthy carrier, and the powers that be told him not to prepare food for people anymore either. But he went back to work too, and they ended up letting him go free, promising that he would conduct his business over the phone. And so it's like, again, yes, she did shitty things by continuing to work, and someone did lose their life, and, you know, people were sick, and, you know, again, she should be held responsible for her negligence. However, it should be the same across the board.
The difference with him, though, is that he cooked his food and didn't prepare shit ice cream.
True.
Mm-hmm.
But they said don't, and he did. So, again, it just speaks to the times.
Oh, for sure.
When that she's not considered a breadwinner for a family. She was this hot-headed, you know, come at you with a fucking fork and, you know what I mean, yell and cuss and all that to defend herself. And, you know, she just was held at different standards.
Typhoid Mary. This would be her tagline. I will fork you up.
Oh, my God. Flu brain. All right. So they ended up using the island for like a bunch of different things. Like I said, it was, you know, ground zero for tuberculosis and whatever else. And then it became, after World War II, temporary housing for veterans and their families. And then in the 50s, it became a juvenile drug treatment center.
Dang.
Yeah, and then was closed in 1963. There's some really amazing pictures of the island. Like, it's overgrown. You can't go there ever. Like, you have to have permission from the state of New York to go there now.
Yeah.
There's apparently some species of a shorebird that, so now it's like conservation land for this bird.
Oh, damn.
And so, like, some people want the island to be, you know, fixed up or whatever, but now you have the conservationists being like, no, you're going to fuck up this bird's habitat that's whatever, almost extinct. So, but there are some really cool pictures that I found where a guy like went through and took pictures of all the abandoned buildings and stuff, and it would be like kids' classrooms and books and all that, because again, it was where families, you know, veterans and their families lived.
Yeah.
You know, there's quotes from like people who had lived there, again, veterans, that they were like, this was a great place to raise their kids.
God.
And then also it was a juvenile treatment center. So, you know, they had school and stuff.
Yeah.
It is said to be haunted.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. I mean, there's not a whole lot to it, though, because it's, again, the people who have gone there, they're either there because the state said, okay, you can go take pictures of this bird habitat, or it's vandals that have snuck in and, like, stolen stuff and, you know, all of that. And so it's just kind of this just dilapidated island with lots of poison ivy, I found. Yeah. And I don't like poison ivy. It itches. So that's all. One other picture, though, I want to tell you, though, really quickly, is that just like the propaganda at the time against Mary Mallon, there was a picture of an article, and it has her holding a skillet like she's cracking eggs in it, but the eggs falling are skulls.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and so it's like, just like the propaganda that was surrounded around her is just like, this girl didn't stand a fucking chance.
Oh, hell no, but that's awesome. I mean, like, not awesome, but that's Man, I love fucking people. That's like something a troll would do now.
Right.
And that is what I'm like, hey, if you're going to troll good.
You make it funny.
Yeah, and that is funny.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good one. But joke's on them, it was the fucking ice cream. So
Right.
it should have been scooping.
Yeah.
Scooping skulls.
Should have been,
She was pooping and then a scooping.
oh God, and not a washing. Wash your fucking hands, people.
I know, see, she wasn't scooping. She wasn't pooping, washing, scooping.
Mm-hmm.
Skip that all together. She was like, it doesn't rhyme, so.
I know. God, can't mess
Oh
up my fucking flow.
Doesn't rhyme, ain't got the time.
Oh my God. Also, Donna has the fucking plague. All y'all got the fucking plague. So wash your fucking hands. Don't be Typhoid Mary.
Right. Wash your hands.
My hands are like raw from washing my hands so much, like
Same.
at work and stuff. And the amount of Germ-X that I have gone through this week.
Oh, same. I brought Ricola.
Mm-hmm.
Brought Kleenex, and brought Purell.
I know. Yesterday, before I left work, I sprayed like all the cabinet doors, all the door handles with Lysol, like because everybody's sick. This is a really bad season for just like upper respiratory infections and the flu.
Yeah.
Because on New Year's Eve, I went to sleep at 6:30.
Oh my gosh.
New Year's Day, I went to the doctor, got a Celestone shot for my upper it's a common cold. It's upper respiratory infection.
But it still sucks.
My sister Kelly, because I had fever.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, my sister, same thing, went to the doctor New Year's Day, same upper respiratory infection. Donna went to the doctor the same day. This bitch had to go balls to the walls and go straight for the fucking flu.
Always. I'm telling you, that's the way the
cookie crumbled?
Yeah.
That too? It blows my mind that you've never had the flu. Like, the flu is something I get legit every other year. And strep throat. When people say they've never had strep throat, I'm like, what did you do? Were you in a bubble as a child? Because every single year as a child, I got strep throat.
Well, let me just say, this is the first time I got tested for the flu and had the flu.
As an adult, or that you can remember, period?
That I can remember. Usually, I don't go to the doctor.
True.
And so, I can be sick for a month and not know that I had the flu. It could just be bad,
But I feel like this is like one of the worst you've been in a long time. Because remember when we first started the podcast, you were sick for like 3 solid weeks.
Yeah, it was
but not like this. Yeah.
My hair hurt.
But when you said you were achy all over, I was like, you need to go. You need to go to the doctor now.
Yeah. Whew.
All right. Well, Donna's about to die because we've paused numerous times for coughing. So I'm going to say that what we learned is wash your fucking hands.
Yes.
And remember,
Creep it real
and don't get scared.